Hi, welcome back to another edition of the Coach's Corner. With me, as always, Clayton Holford. We have a special guest from the show and fellow East West Football Network brother, Isaac. How are you guys doing today?
Great. I'll be feeling better once I know that my Bears are in the playoffs, but
Yeah, unfortunately for Clayton and I, our teams are, well, we just won't talk about that. Clayton, how are you doing today?
Yeah, let's talk about playoffs. I'm hopeful for the 2040
Playoffs?
season that the Broncos will finally be in after missing it for 20 consecutive seasons.
Don't
But
talk about the
we,
playoffs. I'm
we'll
just
get
hoping
back
we
there
can win a
one day.
game.
That's right.
Are you hoping like 2040 that John Elway's not around at that point?
No comment.
didn't
I'm
didn't
not
say
gonna
it.
say so. I'm not gonna incriminate myself.
Okay, all right. Well, today's game, we're going to be reviewing the Packers versus Titans. Um, I know for me personally, I had this kind of penciled in as a Titans win just because the Titans run the football, the Packers can't can't stop the run, excuse me, and that's kind of how I viewed this game. What are you guys' opinions?
Going into this game, I thought it was going to be a shootout. I thought Derrick Henry was going to run all over that Packers defense because they had been, in the bottom five all year against the run. And I thought the Packers were going to have their way because the Titans defense has struggled mightily as well. But, watching that game, I was shocked. I couldn't believe that Green Bay, credit to them putting a game plan together to shut down Derrick Henry. He had 23 rushes for 98 yards, but early on he wasn't a huge factor. They had him shut down in the first half. Tannehill, they had to rely on Tannehill a lot, and that's not really what Tennessee football is all about. They love to give the ball to Henry. They love to use the play action, and Tannehill excels at it. But to see a running back for the Packers and A.J. Dillon kind of pull in his inner Derrick Henry and take over that game, I don't think a lot of people expected that. But a 40-14 victory over Green Bay was not what I had in mind. I did think Green Bay was going to win the game, but like I said before, I thought it was going to be a shootout, more of an offensive game from both sides.
I agree with you. I mean, with everything you said, but especially the whole Derrick Henry, A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon's actually a little bit bigger as far as mass is concerned. I think he's like almost 10 pounds heavier than Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has about 3 inches on him and a couple years in the pros. But I mean, I agree with you. I just think that I don't know if the Packers finally just watched enough tape because of how many teams were able to run the ball all over them all year, where they're finally like, okay, this is the game. We're getting ready for the playoffs. It's kind of now or never for stopping the run because it's a huge aspect of playing in the playoffs, especially if the playoffs go through Green Bay. Green Bay in January, you're going to have to run the football because, it's cold, snowy, it's just ideal. Run the ball and then defense, classic old school football. And I think this is the perfect test for the Green Bay Packers because that's exactly what the Tennessee Titans are. They run the football and occasionally play good defense. And I think that, this is obviously one of those games where they weren't able to run the football and they played terrible defense. But that's just, I guess, my opinion on it.
Yeah, I think honestly the biggest takeaway that hasn't been said, you guys have hit the nail right on the head. Can't really add much more to that. The only thing going forward that I'm a little concerned about is I think Matt LaFleur gets a ton of credit. But like when we actually look at the decisions he's made over his coaching career, such as starting Dion Lewis at times over Derrick Henry in defensive court, and now A.J. Dillon getting twice as many carries and touches as Aaron Jones, a very phenomenal player we know. I think Matt LaFleur might be the biggest hurdle for the Green Bay Packers. I know that sounds crazy. They're sitting here going to maybe the 1 seed, and you talk about, doing things well. But, Aaron Rodgers drug Mike McCarthy to the playoffs several years, right? Now, whether you want to say, oh, Mike is a good coach or not, that's a whole other conversation. But like I said, we've seen Aaron Jones just blatantly disappear. This is a guy that we've seen, Isaac. As fantasy guys, you and me, when we're pouring over the numbers, we've seen how explosive and dominant Aaron Jones can be and just take over games like a Derrick Henry. And not only on the ground, he catches the ball from the backfield too. He's a complete back. And to see them give him 10 carries, 2 catches, we've seen this all year. He's going into his contract year. So why would you not want to run the wheels off of him and save A.J. Dillon maybe for down the road? I don't know. Are they going to unleash Aaron Jones fully healthy for the playoffs? That remains to be seen. But like I said, knowing how Matt LaFleur's ran the offense previously in Tennessee, I'm a little concerned that given the opportunity, is he gonna fumble it away? Is he gonna play A.J. Dillon over Aaron Jones in a key situation? Or, the backup, I can't think of Jamal Williams. Is he gonna play Jamal Williams?
He's been
over
out
Aaron
recently.
Jones? Is he going to play him in a key situation where they need a big play from Aaron Jones? I don't know. That remains to be seen. That's my big concern looking at this, because it's like there's absolutely no reason other than, I guess, they're running away with it. You want to get A.J. Dillon some exposure, but still, 10 carries is just crazy for Aaron Jones.
I think the biggest problem for the Packers is the fact that, David Bakhtiari tore his ACL in practice.
Yeah, that was
that's
big.
Their left tackle. I mean, that's big because it affects what you're talking about with the running game, but it also affects Rodgers' blind side. And I know they signed Ricky Wagner, who is kind of a swing tackle. I would primarily play him on the right side, and then they also have Elton Jenkins, who can pretty much play any position on the O-line and be pretty good at it. But I think that's the biggest problem for the Packers, and I do think that the Packers wanted to kind of save Aaron Jones for the playoffs. And I think that, they did end up, spending a second round pick on A.J. Dillon, which some people might have argued was a little high for him. But I think that, when you have a game like this, and especially when you get in the playoffs, you can unleash your own version of Derrick Henry, and I think that, looking at, Matt LaFleur going from Tennessee to Green Bay, I think it was important to him to have that big, powerful running back like an A.J. Dillon, as well as having, running backs like, Williams and Jones that can, catch the ball out of the backfield and are very good running backs as well. So, I mean, I think that like I said, the biggest problem is that, David Bakhtiari, and it's late in the year too. I mean, it's not like he's going to be, full go right at the beginning of next season either. So with all that being said, I agree that, maybe sometimes Matt LaFleur does some things that kind of makes you scratch your head, but I do think that, they did want to save Aaron Jones for the playoffs, and they wanted to see, what they have in A.J. Dillon.
Yeah, I agree. As a Bears fan, it kind of scares me, though, to see another weapon being unleashed in that Packers offense.
Well, they're legitimately 3 deep at running back right now.
They are, yeah.
And I think Jamal Williams, walks this offseason because I think his contract runs out. I think they're going to, have Aaron Jones as kind of their, every down back, catch the ball out of the backfield, and then kind of they can use A.J. Dillon to sub Aaron Jones, and they can also use A.J. Dillon in short yardage situations and in the goal line. Another key thing, and they were able to stop Derrick Henry without Snacks Harrison. And I know Snacks Harrison's old. He hasn't played a whole lot of football this year. But again, as we're talking about, the playoffs is where you want to stop, you want to stop the run. And adding a big guy like Snacks Harrison is only going to help them.
Yeah, that's their biggest issue in the past few years is stopping the run. To see them stop Derrick Henry for the most part is promising for them. We saw them last year go to the NFC Championship game and just get run all over by that San Francisco offense. Raheem Mostert was tearing. I think he had like 3 touchdowns in that game. So to see them actually slow down the run is the biggest thing that I took away from the game.
Yeah, and that offense that Tennessee runs it's the same offense that San Francisco runs. It's the outside zone. I mean, same coaching trees. And I think the biggest reason why they were able to stop the run is, as big of a factor as Preston Smith has been for the Packers. I think that Rashawn Gary's actually leapfrogged over him on the depth chart. He's younger, and I think that, with Preston Williams, he was kind of a quote-unquote one-trick pony as far as, rushing the passer, where Rashawn Gary, I think, does a better job playing the run and pass. But also the most important piece is for a while Christian Kirksey, the linebacker, was out, and so they were starting 2 rookie linebackers that were kind of later round picks. Not to say that they can't play in this league, they just are young and they don't know what they don't know. And so I think now that they have Christian Kirksey back, you're starting to see that linebacking core bolstered to where they're able to also help stop the run, because they have a really good D line that are able to keep offensive linemen off their linebackers. But the problem is their linebackers have to know what to read and have to be able to scrape, which, the 2 rookies weren't able to do a good job of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts from our quarterback guy, Clayton?
From a quarterback standpoint, Aaron Rodgers is – we know what Aaron Rodgers is. I mean, 21 to 25, 230, 4 touchdowns. And just another day at the office for Aaron. I'm a little surprised to see Tannehill be so inefficient, 11 of 24, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs. This is the guy we've seen take care of the ball.
He kind of looked like the Dolphins' Tannehill.
Yeah, it looked like he was pressing a little bit, which that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. When you press, the game speeds up. And the people just can't fathom, I can't properly fathom because I've never been in that situation. But like the amount of information you're processing when you're back there under center is you're reacting. That's the whole thing. You can't think. When you try to make the play, which is what you see happen with Baker Mayfield, is what I always say is he's just trying too hard. You got to let the play come to you. You got to let the game slow down. Because like I said, it's just pure. That's why we study. That's why we watch the film. That's why we find the tendencies. Because as a quarterback, I can't think of, okay, pass rush left, slide step right in the mid drop. What's my corner doing? Safety over the top, flag. It's just all there in the back of your mind, and you're just reacting to it. So I'm not worried about Tannehill going in because what we've seen is Tannehill be really efficient and just do what he's asked. This was just, they got down 20 points. Quick in this game, and it was out of their control. They want to be a 1-score game. So anytime you're outside of a 1-score game and Tannehill's asked to do things like that in bad weather at Lambeau, it's just not going to go good. So I really like the way the Titans are playing football going into the postseason with Tannehill, just as long as he's not asked to do too much like he was this game. 1-score game, 7 to 10 points, perfect range. Once it's beyond that, look out. The wheels might fall off just because they're not built to come from behind like that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I think that just the whole script of this game was totally flipped. Generally it's, the Packers are – no team is quote-unquote fine when they lose the time of possession battle by a significant amount. The Packers have shown they are just because they have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. But, I mean, the Titans aren't – generally they're the ones that, have the ball at well over 50% of the game. But the Titans offense only had the ball for 23 minutes and 23 seconds, which, with a defense that already is hot and cold, you add the fact that they're playing over 30 minutes in the game, like that just adds another element to the game. And I think it puts more pressure on the offense because now, I mean, you have to not only score, but I mean, you're trying to give your defense a little bit of a break to maybe not contain Aaron Rodgers because, not very many, teams can do that, but at least just slow him down to give your offense a chance. But that's just my opinion on it. Any final thoughts?
My final thought is Tennessee is going to be just fine, just like Clayton says, as long as they play the game that they are supposed to play.
Very good point. Well, if you think we got something wrong, don't be afraid to let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for tuning in.